wonderful to be here as we talk to each other from Northwest Arkansas. We're in the Center for Innovation at the Fayetteville Public Library, who are great community friends and partners of ours on so many different levels. And Karen, I just wanted to sit down with you because I have so many questions about the fantastic things that you do, as well as the fantastic things that are happening in the buzzword right now on artificial intelligence or AI. So with that, I want to just tell you, again, welcome for us to sit down and tell people the who, what, when, and why this is so important and significant. Welcome.
Well, thank you, Orson. I'm happy to be here.
It's wonderful. Well, tell us who you are so people can know who you are and how you are able to do some of the things that you do. And you even wrote a book that we're going to show here in just a few moments.
Sure. I'm Karen Kilroy. I have been doing computer programming pretty much since I was 12 in some capacity or another. And I've got a long history as a web developer and an e-commerce developer and a videographer. And over the last 8 years or so, I've been focusing on artificial intelligence and blockchain.
Yes, you have. And when you say blockchain, you wrote the book on some of this blockchain that is so impressive. You wrote the book on blockchain tethered AI.
Yeah.
And that's an O'Reilly book that I'm always fascinated by. And this is an incredible book. And, you know, when people see you and meet you and you show them that you wrote the book on this, and we've even been at a conference when one of the keynote speakers told people to get your book. So this is wonderful. Blockchain tethered AI. Tell us a little bit about that book.
Well, one of the interesting quotes on the back here that I will read, and this is from my friend Jean-Georges Perrin, who was a reviewer on the book, and he's now writing his own book on data mesh for O'Reilly.
Okay.
And but what this says is his quote: "AI is a superhero toddler. Without meaning harm, its laser eyes could reduce a city to ashes. The solution? Make sure the toddler does not have a tantrum in Times Square." This hands-on book describes this solution precisely and pragmatically.
That's right. We want people to know that this book is just incredible and it's very helpful. It's a how-to guide of doing things the right way so that we don't have bad actors, as you described, to misuse and abuse AI and the capabilities that it can and be helpful about.
Yes, and it also includes code. So if someone is just reading this book, let's say you're not a programmer, you could get a lot out of the first few chapters, just learning about what the situation is, what the problem is, and what the truth is about what's under the covers in AI. And you can break it down into a supply chain and then track and trace it like Walmart does with produce.
Sure.
So it's not as mysterious as an opaque box as it's made out to be, and so the techniques in this book can help people build responsible AI systems.
That's incredible to say, responsible AI systems. Thank you for that, Karen. Well, I want to tell the people who we're talking to and the people that will see this is that back behind us is just this incredible logo. It's File Baby. We
File
love
Baby.
It. File Baby. That's my File Baby.
That's my File Baby.
Now, tell us about File Baby and how you and came about this and what it does. And I'm so impressed with it. I just wanted to talk to you today because I wanted you to share my exuberance with people about what this really is.
Well, thank you, Orson, and you have logged in and used File Baby, so I know you know how it works.
That's right.
And so, what File Baby does is it allows people to have a forever home for their AI generated images, as well as images that they've taken, made or themselves or taken other places, images straight from your camera. But it gives you a place to host those images where then you can claim credit for your own images by putting your name and a link to either your LinkedIn, your Instagram, or your Behance account. And that will lead someone back to you if they have interest in that file.
It just, well, that's not all you do with File Baby.
No, that's not all you do
right.
with File Baby.
That's it.
File Baby also allows you to flag your work as do not use as AI training data.
Which is very significant. And tell us why.
Well, File Baby, it's very significant because the way that AI works is it learns. What makes it so smart anyway is the question, and it learns from us. It learns from you and me, and so where does it get all that knowledge? Well, it ate everything on the internet already, right? Everything that it could find for free, it's already gotten. So then the next step is to, it needs more. And they've proven that AI models quickly collapse on themselves and no longer work if they don't have any external influence. They need to still see humans do things, and they need to see how humans approach tasks, how humans, maybe would take a picture, or how they would draw something or paint something or sing a song. And so AI needs to learn all these things. And so there is a value to that information. So you want to make it so in the long run that people are paid for their content. There's been always a lot of talk about social media companies paying for content, and it barely actually happens. But what we're talking about is attracting AI companies that want to be responsible, that want to say, look, we have paid for all of our content. We've paid for everybody's images. There's no artists that are starving because of us. And then we're going to make the whole mechanism for actually paying people.
So that's the thing, is that we want people to get some type of remuneration for their content, so that it's not just given away. There's a value, as you said, for that. And the value could be if someone uploads something, there should be some type of a payment for them. And it's so much information that so many people around the world have. It shouldn't just be given freely.
Right. And the first step, we feel, is to claim your own work. And the way that we're doing this is we're following guidelines set by the Content Provenance and Authenticity standards. And it's C2PA and then Content Authenticity Initiative, which is CAI. Okay. And those two organizations have spent a lot of time developing these standards. And it's Microsoft, Adobe, BBC, New York Times, Digimark, camera manufacturers like Nikon and Leica also has a camera. Sure. And so what it does is it helps you track the provenance of images. And the reason that they came up with this 5 years ago was to help combat misinformation in the media. So you can tell if an image was fake. You could drop it into a verifier and see, look, this was taken by this camera, but look, someone added this person who wasn't here.
All right. Well, let's talk about something that's really in the news for those, and that's not fake news, but there have been so many stories recently about plagiarism.
Yes.
And what this has done to upset a lot of different people professionally, academically, and really personally. So talk about one of the things that you and I shared along with Ethan Keel, co-founder as well.
Yes.
And you'll see another video of us with Ethan as we talk about some of these things. But you've talked about the plagiarism side and what a File Baby can actually do when someone protects their content. And let's talk about how this can work for college students.
Certainly. Well, plagiarism is a very serious accusation, as we know, and it can ruin careers even years later. And there's no way right now to really clearly and quickly prove whether something was plagiarized or not. There's no clear audit trail. And so what we can do with File Baby is what one of our early beta testers, Pamela Ism, has done.
Yes.
Where she wrote an original poem.
She did. Yeah.
She made some beautiful graphics around it, and then she uploaded it into FileBaby and signed it as hers. Now, if somewhere down the road someone comes up with the same poem, the same layout, and that should become a question of who came up with it, then Pamela's version can be inspected, as well as the version of the person who says they came up with it, and the provenance can be compared.
Sure, correct.
And can those things be decided definitively? Who knows? It depends on the parties and who's involved in the laws and whether they take it to the law. But I think overall, having an audit trail is better than not having an audit trail.
Absolutely. I mean, when you talk about the provenance of something written and that content. So what we see with not just college students or high school students, what we see is someone turning in a term paper or a thesis. And years later, we read here recently that some of this material has been extracted from so many different sources but now we can actually put this content and the person can assign it to FileBaby and have their provenance and a comfort level to say, this is mine and it was done at 1:15 p.m. and 18 seconds on such and such date.
Yes.
You could actually know that, and that gives somebody some comfort. But not just students. We're talking professionals as well. We're talking professors that can do the same thing. The medical field. You've talked about it for law. You've talked about it for law enforcement. Talk about it for law to kind of give an idea of that, and so many different industry sectors that FileBaby can be used for.
I mean, the obvious example for law for me is simple image forensics, looking at a picture to see if it's fake.
Wow.
And I don't think that most people are aware that at this point, some of the AIs automatically assign content credentials. Some of them don't. Some of the Photoshop, for instance, assigns content credentials under certain conditions. Illustrator assigns content credentials. So they're in there and people don't know it.
All right.
And so it's possible for, let's say, there's a politician, for instance, out at a dinner and someone decides to put a person on their arm that isn't their spouse.
Okay.
And then publicize that. It's very possible that a good sleuth could drag that into a verifier and say, look, right here, they pulled it into Photoshop. They told the AI Firefly version, whatever, to generate a good-looking person next to this person.
Sure. Okay.
And then you can actually see all the ingredients, and a lot of people aren't aware that those ingredients are there. So for law firms, I would think the very first thing they would want to do is learn how to inspect these files, like you can do in FileBaby. You can drop any file right into FileBaby and see where it came from, see the history, and if it's got a manifest.
Before we go much further on this, I want to make sure that you created FileBaby.
Yes.
And so that you could actually be in the position to have a platform to verify, because you saw the importance and the need for verification of content so that it does not get abused and does not get out in the, I guess, on the internet or in the, what would you call it, the space of AI, to where things can get manipulated so much. So, and that's what we're talking about right now. So a little bit about the creation of FileBaby and your thoughts and everything, and to what it really is doing for you right now, what we think about.
Sure. Yeah, FileBaby came about after I met Ethan Kill,
Right.
and here at the Center for Innovation in the Fayetteville Public Library, and Orson introduced us. And we started looking at blockchain tethered AI and thinking, okay, how can we put these pieces together where we've got a concept, blockchain tethered AI, and then we've got a changing workforce, meaning what I mean by a changing workforce is that as AI learns to imitate people and do their jobs, the jobs are going to start to disappear.
Okay.
And so, what our goal is to have a big impact on eliminating poverty by putting the ability in people's hands, just like, now, like, someone who really needs a meal might go to the blood bank and give their blood. How about if someone who really needs a meal can walk into the public library or into any place with an internet connection and make some money right there by telling a story that their grandmother told them, or giving a favorite recipe
Sure.
like peanut butter soup.
That's good. Okay.
And there's a value in all of that.
Okay.
And so we were thinking, well, that's our vision. That's our ultimate vision. So how do we get there? And one of the things that we found was Firefly, which is an Adobe product. And I like to use it. And I used it in my library presentation a lot. And Ethan said, well, why don't we look down the road of how they're doing their credentials? And one thing led to another. And then we ended up using contentcredentials.org. And I was invited to the C2PA conference, the annual conference in Silicon Valley at Stanford.
Right.
And so that's how we got started in this direction.
So by doing that, by allowing people to share stories or their own content, that gives the AI more things to learn and receive and absorb so that it can continue to build and it won't collapse upon itself, because there's stories are people from around the world. Almost anyone that can get access to can tell a story or something which the AI model can learn so it won't collapse upon itself. That's what you're explaining. That's the reason why.
Yes.
And the people need to be paid for that so
Yes.
they can get a meal. And the more stories they can tell, that would be a value on each story, et cetera, and the more stories. And the AI, large AI people would be OpenAI or Microsoft or these larger companies. They should appreciate that, because it's getting the content that it needs to feed their AI.
Yes.
Okay.
That's exactly right.
This is so wonderful.
And that makes them authentic. And it makes their
authentic.
product better.
Okay. Well, you're a data scientist, you're a technologist, an incredible, super scientist. I mean, I've just been impressed with so many different things that you do. It's not often that you and I talk that you haven't come up with something else. For instance, I don't know, you want to talk about the public domain items?
Well, sure. Well, the public domain items recently are a little mouse that we all know, Mickey, became public domain. The Steamboat Willie version of Mickey Mouse and Minnie Mouse and the other characters in that film and that cartoon. And when it became public domain, it's kind of like a free-for-all, even though there are limitations on it, and
Yes.
Disney still does have a trademark on it.
Sure does.
And you can't use newer versions of Mickey Mouse. You can't do certain things, but as soon as it became public domain, AI companies started looking at it to eat it. Let's pull Mickey Mouse in and have it so you can make Mickey do other things. And so one of the things that I did, this was right after midnight on New Year's Eve, was I put in a credit claim for Mickey Mouse for Steamboat Willie on File Baby. And I claimed it as public domain, and I flagged it as do not use for AI training. Now, I don't know what kind of impact this could have, but it does seem to me like it could be a good strategy for the public to protect our icons and things that we don't want to have consumed by AI and have its value lowered.
That's true. So I want to make sure you and I have talked about it. I want to make sure I get it. So we want that Steamboat Willie version of Mickey protected from manipulation by AI, so that we don't see unsavory things, then the bad actors, again, as you talk about, misuse Mickey Mouse,
Exactly.
this icon, and which would really devalue an icon, if you will, that so many people, as we read, so many people were waiting on Mickey to enter public domain on January 1. And we see that what you're doing is to allow it to be protected. So basically, Disney should be our friend.
I
They
think
should
that
want to
Disney
come and
would
talk
like to
to
be
us.
our friend.
And they should want to come and talk to us
Because we
and
put the
understand.
flag in the ground
Yes, okay.
at 12:22 and said this is public domain. And I also put the history of the trademark and of the copyright and when it expired, and
Okay.
acknowledged that Disney owned it and that now it's public domain and that it should remain public domain.
Sure. When you and I first met, and I was attending one of your seminars, and you said, put good AI in, you get good AI out.
Yeah, yeah,
You put, literally, you used the word ingredients today. Put good ingredients in, you get good ingredients or a good cake or a recipe out.
that's exactly
So
right.
this is what we're doing. And to protect something like this, and it can be done on so many levels. We're talking, as we saw in public domain, books, scripts, plays, films, music, all these different things, and we can do this with File Baby.
Yes.
This is wonderful. Tell people who some of our partners are with, from like you've talked about, and some of the partners that have helped you with Kilroy blockchain as well, but especially some of our partners for this.
Sure. Kilroy Blockchain is a partner in this, and but also we have the Linux Foundation and the Hyperledger Foundation, and Hyperledger Media and Entertainment Special Interest Group is one of our partners, and I have been asked to chair a roundtable on how content it can be made trackable and traceable for the entertainment industry.
Yes, it's so important. Congratulations on that. We look forward to it because you have so much to share, and you're such a giving person. We want to appreciate you. We want to continue this great relationship that we have. Again, Karen, thank you for today. Thank you for the explanations of so many different things. To be continued, because things, as you told me, change very quickly.
They change very quickly.
With this model, and as I'm seeing, and I'm continually impressed. And again, I'm looking forward to what you and Ethan Keel and I can move forward with as we get together with good partners for us to do some wonderful things for ourselves and others so we can help others. And again, I'm Orson Weems, a founding board member of Friends of Justin, with our dear friend Karen Kilroy, creator, founder, digital scientist, etc.
Thank you.
Thank you.